Hi, welcome to my channel, Mixed Media Creations. Today we have another one in my series, Mixed Media Meets the Craft Fair. And today we're making a mixed media door hanger. And here's a sneak peek. So I'm starting with these wooden door hangers that I purchased. And I'll put a link to the ones that I find on Amazon if you're interested in making them. Now this one I gessoed the back with black gesso. And I didn't do the front, and I would do that next time. I found that the paints weren't as bright and as vivid as they would be when I gessoed. So, little tip there for you. So I started applying the light blue permanent with a brush, and then I grab my makeup sponge. And I just find, for quick, easy application, the makeup sponge works really well. And I like the way that it blends the colors. Remember, this is a background color. And I know that if I mix yellow and blue, I'm also going to get a little bit of green. I like putting multiple colors into a background, even if it's two tones of the same color. I just find that that gives it some depth and some interest. Whereas if you put just one color of blue, it tends to look a little flat. So once that's dry, I grab this stencil from the Crafter's Workshop. It's called Pineapple. And no, I'm not stenciling in the pineapple. I am stenciling in some of the texture and shapes of that pineapple, which I love. So when you look at your stencils, look at them and see what color, interesting patterns and textures you can get from them. They don't have to be used exactly as they are. So I grabbed Prussian blue. I want some contrast here. And I'm stenciling onto the door hanger here. Now, full disclosure, this is the first door hanger that I'm creating. I plan on doing many, and subscribe to my channel, check the option, click on the bell, and check the option to be notified of upcoming videos because there will be more. This is simply a substrate that I'm using. You could do the exact same composition and colors if you really liked it on a 5x7 canvas or in an art journal page. Don't be thrown by the substrate that I'm using. Now I grabbed this new for summer 2019 stencil, Maidenhair Fern, and both of these stencils are by Carmen Medlin. And while I absolutely love the Crafter's Workshop stencils, always have from the minute I started doing mixed media, it is fair to say that I am a brand ambassador with the Crafter's Workshop. So I love the light floral texture this Maidenhair Fern stencil gives. I love the shapes and textures in so many of Carmen's stencils. So I put that on there. And then I decide I'm unsure what to do, so I'm edging the door hanger with the Prussian blue. So I'm just doing that with a makeup sponge. And that kind of gives shading around the edge, which frames your page, or in this case, my door hanger. And quite often I'll do this with black, but I have a lot of blue in this one at this time, so that's why I've chosen the blue. So then I grab my modeling paste, again from the Crafter's Workshop, and I'm applying it through the stencil. I want some interesting texture on this door hanger. Now I know I'm going to be gluing some things down, my focal point. So I'm kind of avoiding the area where I'm going to put the focal point. If you don't know, it's not impossible to glue on top of this stuff, but it's kind of a waste because you're not going to see it. And I'm just cleaning off the edges. And I want to avoid of putting it around the hole in the top part. So talking about focal images, I grab and stamp out some of my crazy birds from Tim Holtz. And again, I'll put a link to this in the description box below if you're looking for them. Now, I absolutely love these little birds, and I have the cats as well. And what I find is when I'm painting them, and I'm just using acrylic paint here, I use the fine line brush to get around the eyeballs and anything where I'm closed. And then I grab a bigger brush to cover the area better. Now I've cut these out with an X-Acto knife, and this is simply on copy paper, but I've also stamped on mixed media paper. You do what works for you. Now here it's getting a little bit translucent. That's because I've added too much water. There was too much water on my brush. I didn't add it when I put it on. So I'm just going to let that dry, and then I'm coming back with another layer, and it's going to darken this bird up. Now the background was this blue, green, yellow color. So I want a focal image that's really going to pop on that. So I pick the same yellow, and then I do orange because orange and blue are across each other from the color on the color wheel. So they're going to pop really, really well. They're going to a lot of energy. And then I do a blue one. So I picked a couple colors that were in the background and then one that's a complementary color across from each other. Now I've added a little bit of red to that orange, and here I'm applying that. And you can see the much vivid color that I'm getting. I get some paint on the eyeball despite all my carefulness, and I just use a little white paint later to block that out. I like using the crazy birds or the crazy cats because you can pretty much put any sentiment with it, and it seems to make sense. So they're very open-ended, I guess. And playful. So there's my 3 crazy birds going. And then I've done some shading. I've done the float technique and some shading with just a darker color in the same tone. And then sometimes I've grabbed a black as well, just to add back some of that detailing. Alternatively, I could have grabbed a micron pen and etched out, where the marks are. So here I'm using orange just to make it pop. And I'm not being too specific or particular in this. It's kind of more of a painterly approach than an exact science for me. I like working with acrylic paint. I know I'm going to be varnishing this, so I don't want it to use anything that is water activated that's going to cause me problems when I'm finishing these. But if this was in an art journal page and I wasn't varnishing on the top, it wouldn't matter. So I could use water soluble. So there's a nice close-up of the tag in the background, and I love the texture, and I chose to keep the modeling paste white. It just adds another layer. And so I'm playing with the composition of these birds. And I'm going with the quote, balance is the key. And these birds are balancing on this. But before I glue this down, I want to add some dark blue splatters. So I thin my acrylic paint and I splatter. If you don't want this on the modeling paste, you can do it before you put the modeling paste. So I've cut out the sentiment. And most of the sentiments that you see me using in my videos are part of my sentiment packs that are available. They're digital sentiment packs that you can purchase directly from me and use in your art. So I'm just playing, do I want it on the side? And initially I thought I wanted it on the side, but then I thought, oh, I'm going to cover up all that lovely texture. There was a bit of a smudge on the bottom, and I thought, oh, it'll be cute. They'll stand on this and that they're balancing on it. I'm just cutting it to size. When I print off my sentiments, I print them off with the laser printer, and it doesn't smudge. And I'm gluing this down with gel medium. And this is matte finish. I will be varnishing this. Because I like to have it shine, and it adds to usability. This is a door hanger, so it can be hung, on a regular door, bedroom door. It can also be hung on kitchen cabinets just for a little extra color and decoration and inspiration. So I'm going to have fun coming up with other ideas for door hangers. So we've got pattern, we've got texture, we've got color, focal image, and a sentiment. And we're done. That's the recipe for a great mixed media piece or art journal piece. Basically, we have the primary colors there, and who can go wrong with those, right? Just showing you with the gel medium, because I'm doing a day of crafting, I'm just going to wrap it in saran wrap, so keep it dry so it doesn't dry out and I'm not just wasting gel medium. And I decide to do a little bit of shading around the birds. And I'm just using black paint and the floating acrylic technique. But you can shade with whatever way you prefer. Again, I'm not using the Stabilo All pencil here or my charcoal pencil, which do absolutely wonderful shading, because they will be reactivated by wet medium, and when I varnish, that could cause me problems. So I'm really enjoying how this turned out. I like how the colors popped. And I love the idea that this is usable art. It has a purpose. It's very practical. Grab my fine line bottle, and I'm just going around the outside edge just to frame the door hanger. And just to give you a little information, this is just heavy body paint, Liquitex basic paints that I've thinned down to the consistency that works. And I don't have an exact science, but please don't mix an entire bottle of it. A little goes a long way. I'll put pictures of this one and some other door hangers that I made. Bye for now.